Welcome to the virtual album release party for Radio Drive featuring Kevin Gullickson with their new release, In the Light, hosted by celebrity journalist and podcast host Candice Marshall on the NetRadio Broadcast Network.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to myself, Candice Anne Marshall, host of this show, with my dear friend and super talented musician, Kevin Gullickson of Radio Drive. I am going to be talking today with Kevin about his new album, In the Light, and we will be going back just a little bit here with Kevin about the history of our relationship, how we met, and then how we've collaborated on a few projects to go forward, this being one of them. Kevin, say hello for everyone.
Hello, everyone. This is fantastic. I'm so glad to be here. I want to quick say thank you, Christoph Marcy and the team at NetRadio Broadcast Network. And Candice, thank you for hosting this show. This is really cool.
Absolutely. Wonderful. You know, Kevin, we met in, I believe it could have been 2014. And I know it was Humanity. And what was the other song? The other song was?
A Taste of Heaven. A
Taste of Heaven. Humanity was very special because it was produced by Stuart Epps, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Stuart Epps and we had a great time working together. Of course, as you know, he's over in England, so I recorded all the parts here in my home studio, sent them online over to Stuart. He worked his magic, and we had a great song. It was really a thrill working with Stuart. He's worked with some amazing artists, some of my favorites like Oasis, Led Zeppelin, Elton John, just to name a few.
Kevin, I've had you played on my own podcast shows. I've had such great feedback. A lot of the listeners that are listening live, they'll often comment in the chat room. You know, it never fails. So I do like to include my, if you can call it, core crew. You're one of them.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Candice. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now that I've listened to this new album, released August the 12th of this year, In the Light is the title of the album. I was blown away.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Candice. I am so glad to hear you say that. Thank you.
I want to know all the details, Kevin. We have 9 tracks.
Yes.
I want to know, Kevin, where was this first concepted? How, what, why? Let's get to the nuts and bolts of that first.
Yes, absolutely. As you know, I live here in Minnesota, and our winters can be very long, cold, and brutal. I'm not a winter person, so what I like to do is hibernate and work on music. So I'm thankful to say I have a home studio, and I start working, during those cold winter months. So November of 2018, I started working on some new songs, kept working all through the winter. Come spring, I started to emerge with some new tracks. And this album was a little bit different in that I wanted to find somebody to do the mix and mastering. And I came across this fantastic website called AirGigs and connected with some amazing people. I found this guy named Brian David at Anthem Recording Studios. He's a Grammy-nominated engineer, so fantastic person to work with. He suggested that I use real drums instead of MIDI drums. I typically have used MIDI drums just as a placeholder, but he said, you got to find a real drummer. So on AirGigs, I came across this Italian session drummer, Matteo Andrigo, and worked with him. I ended up sending him the tracks. He put his drum parts to the songs, sent them back. I did a little bit of integrating into the songs, and then sent the finished tracks to Brian David, and he worked his magic.
Wow. Listen, Kevin, think about it. 25 years ago, if you think about the things that have been possible in the last even 15, 20 years, you're getting all of this done. This album's made its trip around the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so true. Here I am working with a producer, engineer down in Texas, drummer over in Italy, and even this interview show here, you're up in Canada. Christophe and his team are in Paris, France. So this is definitely an international collaboration.
And, interestingly enough, my heart is in Paris.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love Paris. I've been there before. Just love it.
And I think that that's just so cool that the capability of social media networking has afforded people that opportunity to not just exercise that right to connect with people globally, but to work with them globally too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't do what I'm doing without the internet, connecting with people from around the world. So it's fantastic. I love it.
Let's get into the album. Let's start to break this down, talk about each song, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my feedback on what I think of each song as we go along, and then I'll get you to give some history on the lyrics and how the song kind of was compiled, how it came together.
Yeah.
I do want people to know, I think it's important for indie artists to have this opportunity to, when it's coming out of the barn gates, the first time an album of this nature with as many tracks as I'm seeing, to be able to kind of break this down and say, this is where my head was at this point. And I don't think people get an opportunity to do that for a whole album. So let's start off with the first track titled First Time. What a great kickoff song. In the process, writing this and compiling this and choosing this song as the first song on your album track, what was going through your mind and how was it created and that sort of thing, Kevin?
Sure. Well, thank you, Candice. I appreciate your kind words about that song. I'm so glad you like that as an opener. The song came together. I started working on this guitar riff and really liked it. Of course, from there, worked on chords for the verse and chorus. So I had the music down first. And as far as the lyrics, I had such a wonderful time out in New York City when I had first met my wife. This is yet another song about that time. There was a bunch of us that got together at a coffee shop. And this was really one of the first times that I had spent quality time with my wife. So that's why I called it First Time. And of course, the chorus, I wanted something with a pop catch feel as an opening song to really get things going.
Well, I'm going to add to that, Kevin. I'm going to say that if this was me getting this album, just as, not even working in the music industry, not knowing, I was just happened to be at one of your shows or something, and this is a song you'd kick off with, I would be thinking, okay, I need to hear the rest of this. It's one of those songs that gets you going for sure, and it does entice a listener to want to hear the rest.
Never be
You're listening to a special broadcast album release for Radio Drive's new album, In the Light, available at iTunes and Amazon.
These next 3 tracks, 2, 3, and 4, seem to have, there's a history, like a timeline. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Come With Me also started off with the guitar riff. Again, just playing around on my guitar, came up with a riff, which is the opening riff in the song. Really liked it, worked out some chords and whatnot. As far as the lyrics, it's almost like one of those, come with me on a magic carpet ride kind of songs. Just taking a step out, getting to where your destiny, where it is that you want to be, living life with no regrets, stepping out, taking a risk, taking a chance.
When we think about I'm, In the Light, even just being the title, and now knowing what that's about, it could be interpreted many ways, which obviously, as we know, and even working with the music industry, there's always room for interpretation in music. And that's the beauty of art. And I think that it's really expressed well in this song.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm all about that too, just leaving the interpretation to the listener. It means one thing to me, obviously something personal that I've experienced, but somebody can take that and apply that and, encourage them or bless them or just for their enjoyment. And even myself, I come back to my lyrics years later and I find things that I never intended. So it's an ongoing thing with me too.
And not only that, but looking back, you can think, where was my head at?
Oh, yeah.
It chronicles that journey of, a person's life, a person's evolvement as an artist. It's a really nice way of documenting your life.
Radio Drive on Facebook at facebook.com/Radio Drive.
Going to our third track, moving on, there's a couple personal faves. This one was like, it had a little bit of that Beatles flair, and I can't explain why. It just hit me in that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, no surprise. Beatles are my biggest influence.
Oh, yeah, you can hear that here and there. There's elements of it, but it's not a copycat kind of thing, where you hear some bands today that are replaying some of the 60s, 70s, and 80s music.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm glad to hear that.
That kind of thing. You've always put a little bit of a twist on that. And with this one in particular, moving on, I don't know. It's just one that struck me in such a positive way. Tell me a little bit about that song.
Yeah. Of course, this one, like so many others, originated from a guitar riff. However, the difference here, this guitar riff I was playing years ago in a band that I had called The Blokes. We were playing back in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, playing all the main clubs like First Avenue and whatnot. We even had interest from Capitol Records and a major management company out in California, which is really cool. But things being as they are, we all kind of move on to different things. And I eventually moved out to New York City, but that's, of course, another story altogether. But we played this song, and it was always going over really well. I always wanted to revisit it and redo it, and never quite fit the feeling, what I was looking for till this album here. It just seemed to all come together and fall into place. The lyrics are also about moving on. So I've got a couple of songs that kind of have that theme. This one here, though, it talks about being in a dead-end situation, maybe a dead-end job, a dead-end relationship, or what have you. You realize that you just don't want to be there. So one of the lines is, I'm moving out of nowhere. And then it goes on to talk about, I'm moving on to somewhere. So really, it's about taking some action, some steps, just to do something to move on.
It's interesting you say this because I actually made that huge step in my life, even this year alone. Actually, it began last year, but I think maybe that's why the song resonates with me so much, because it's just that, wow, this is really what was going through my mind when I thought it's time to move on. And that's exactly what happened. And it's been life-changing. I can say that for sure.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. To me, that's what it's all about, connecting with people to where my song, the lyrics, resonates with somebody. And it just speaks to them. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Thank you.
One step leaving all behind.
listening to a special broadcast album release for Radio Drive's new album, In the Light, available at iTunes and Amazon.
I'm going to segue into your fourth song here, Life. You know, when I say life-changing, this one's a bit of a slower pace, and the lyrics very realistic. I choose to live my life one day at a time. Very beautifully written. In albums, we have, you know, the high tempo, the upbeat, and then we slow it down a little bit. You know, when it comes to this song being the fourth, very well chosen for the fourth track. You know, it just kind of gets everybody going and it settles you in. It shows a different side of you, Kevin. Let's talk about this song.
Yeah, so this song here, Life, I had actually written a couple years ago, and it was supposed to have been on my last album, She Colors My World, but I kind of ran out of steam, and the song just never really came together. So I put it on hold and revisited it, and it just seemed to click. It just seemed to all come together. It's just about an observation of life here on any given day. Let's just take Facebook, for example. You read an announcement, somebody's got a baby. Fantastic news. Same day, scrolling down, you could see a post about somebody dying. So that's life. I mean, there's joy, there's sadness. And as the chorus sings, it's a very simple sing-along chorus. You know, there's joy, there's pain, sunshine, rain. And that's what life's all about. You got to be real. You know, at the same time, you've got to live in the moment. You got to let go of the past, all the hurt, all the would-haves, should-haves, could-haves. You can't be worrying about the future because you don't know what the future is going to bring. You've got today. That's what we have right now, this moment. So enjoy it to the fullest.
Stepping in. This thing called life is where it all begins. I choose to live mine one day at a time. Life is joy, life is pain, life is sunshine, life is rain. Life is
Follow Radio Drive on Instagram at radio_drive.
To track number 5, Take Hold. It's a major turn of events of sound there. Lyrics like head up, I know you're strong. I love that. I know you have a family, Kevin. It's like, is this, kind of relatable to your family, to your children?
Yeah, this song has a lot of depth to it here. First of all, it's a song about encouragement. I'm sure you've seen that picture of the little kitten looking in the mirror and they see the lion. Well, the kitten hasn't quite gotten to that point to see the lion.
Yes.
So this song is about getting together with that person and helping them to see that lion. Basically just looking into their eyes, into their heart, and saying, hey, I don't see fear. I see courage. I see somebody who can step out and be the best version of themselves, who can take that mountain, conquer their dreams, and live life to the fullest. Sometimes just hearing the words, keep your head up, is all you need to just keep on going. So that's kind of the refrain in this song, just the encouragement, keep your head up, just stay the course, you can do it. And I should add, there is one person that I did have in mind while writing that, my cousin Julie, who is fighting a battle with cancer.
I always find when an artist writes about something close to home, how they're sung, just to have that little bit of something extra special. This one in particular it was very uplifting. And I'm sure that anybody that is challenged at this time, and I too have a friend that I've known since I was 17 years old. I'm 47 now, so we've known each other 30 years.
Yeah.
I think it's her 4th battle with cancer again.
Oh,
she is a true warrior. So I'm going to get her to listen to this song. A song like this is very helpful to someone who is going through something that powerful.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, I definitely don't want to take a negative approach to this album. I mean, these things, these kinds of conversations are very realistic. You bringing them up through these lyrics and having them with myself or whomever.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we were talking earlier, that's what it's all about. Life, there's ups and downs, there's joy, there's pain. So
there seems to be a perfect song for every moment. So, when you have songs like this that are relatable, absolutely, that's a great thing.
Visit Radio Drive online at radiodrive.net. Follow Radio Drive on Twitter at Radio Drive Music.
Tell me about your song track, number 6, I Have a Voice.
This song starts to get a little deeper, a little more serious. It's about those people that don't have a voice, those people who are oppressed. I'm thinking more so women, because there are so many cultures that do not allow a woman even the right to vote, to go to school, to own a business. And so that's something that's been really on my heart, to help a cause to bring awareness to that. For example, my wife and I have been supporters of Oxfam for years, and that's one of the things that they do. They help to empower women in these kind of cultures. Recently, I got a mailing with some information, testimonials actually, about how Oxfam has helped women in different cultures. One of them, they helped to start a business. Another one to go to school. Just things like that that we take for granted here in America and, Canada and the United States, for example. But to them, it's a luxury. So it's for people like that. And even in America and Canada, pockets of people who don't have a voice. For example, the homeless, or people who are just ignored and overlooked. They don't have a voice, and we need to listen to what they're saying. They need help. They need somebody to come alongside of them and help them. So this is a song about unity, coming together with those people and being heard.
Wow, Kevin, I did not know this side of you and your family. What a partnership. And I truly believe that that's very rare. And I always say this to musicians, or anybody who's rising to any kind of status in their life, is don't forget, those people along the way. And when I got to this song, I thought of that. And I thought of also that, these people that help a person get along the way sometimes don't have really a whole lot themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true.
People don't realize that, or they don't. I think that's, again, that little bit of more of a me society instead of we society.
Yeah, so true.
That you and your wife are doing this is very special to me.
Oh, it's so nice to hear you say that.
It just makes my heart extra happy.
I have a voice, I'm not alone. I have a choice of my own. Every voice that joins with me carries weight to set them free. Every voice in harmony, change the world you will see. You have a voice. Sing along. Every voice that joins with me carries weight to set them free. Every voice in harmony change the world, you will see. I have a voice. I will use it to build and elevate. I have a voice. I will stand up. It's not too late. I have a voice. I will be heard. I have a voice. I will not be ignored. I have a voice.
You're listening to a special broadcast album release for Radio Drive's new album, In the Light, available at iTunes and Amazon.
The next song on the album, One Life to Give, kind of goes along that same theme as I Have a Voice, but this one's a little bit different in that here my heart and focus is kind of more on the homeless and those people who are not quite as privileged, who need a little bit of help. Perhaps those who need help and assistance from a food shelf or something like that. So it talks about a prosperous man who has a lot. Here's a man who's in need. The two of them reach out as the prosperous man provides money or food. The man in need reaches out, takes hold of that, and the two hands create a bridge. So that's really what it's about, just creating that bridge between the two people. Another theme in this song is giving what you can. Most people see these causes and think, well, what possible good can I do? I don't have enough money to help these people. But simply giving $5 or $10, whatever you can spare, now that's certainly not going to break anybody's bank, but think about it. If 100 people give $5 or 1,000 or 10,000, that's going to make an impact and that's going to make a difference and that will help.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Even when the fires in Fort McMurray, I believe that was 2016, and it devastated that whole community.
Wow.
We're still rebuilding to this day, if you can believe it.
Man.
You know, just seeing how musicians were just like, well, you know, I've got a guitar, I have a voice.
Yep. And even if that's what you got, you just come together, give what you can.
And that's exactly what happens. Like, you're right. You know, that $5 really is more.
Oh, absolutely. It just all adds up.
There were 5,000 souls, hungry and in need. It seemed impossible, the multitude to feed. One boy stood up and said, I would like to share. I have 2 loaves of bread, a couple fish to spare. I have not much to give, by selfishness and greed. One voice can change the world. Think what more can do. God gave us all we need. Now it's up to you. I have not much to give, but what I have is yours. One heart, one right to give. What I have is yours. I have not much to give, but what I have is yours. One heart, one life to give. What I have is yours.
You're listening to the virtual album release party for Radio Drive, featuring Kevin Gullickson, hosted by Candice Marshall on the NetRadio Broadcast Network.
So now, we're getting close to the end of the album. These two songs are seemingly, to me, a little bit different, one from the other. I want to really stress that my second favorite on this album, actually, I don't even want to say second favorite, is What Went Wrong.
Wow, thank you.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful, it was so pretty.
Well, thank you so much.
My goodness, it was a very beautiful sound, and it's not like any of the other songs on the album. To me, I was just sitting there and I'm like, wow, this is different. I know that you've recorded other songs in some way, shape, or form in a semi-similar fashion, but this one was quite different.
Yeah, it's definitely the most intense song I've written.
I'm going to go back to one of the earlier songs I was talking about, where I could just intuitively hear in the song that there's a little bit of something special about this one. That's another reason why number 8 on this album track is another favorite of mine.
Thank you.
So pretty and so gentle and healing.
Thank you.
And I think that goal was definitely achieved in the songs.
Yeah, it definitely is a different song than what I normally would be writing. It's definitely the most intense song that I've ever written. Basically, the story is about capturing that feeling of separation, that deep pain and loss. I had in mind some good friends who recently went through a divorce. Young couple, married for just a few short years, so in love and talking about a beautiful future, beautiful families, and something went wrong. And so it just blew me away. And I had to just stop and think, what kind of pain are they feeling? What's going through their minds right now? So I sat down to the piano, the chords started flowing, the words started coming, and I kind of took it from the two perspectives. First of all, the woman starting off with unconditional love. She looks at the man. She looks past the worst, past the flaws with unconditional love. She just embraces him. Now, moving on into the song, the man is the one that's just not very perceptive. And I got to say, that's just kind of like how men are. We're not particularly wired to be the most alert when it comes to that unspoken language. I'm guilty of that. So I can write about that. So here's the man in the second verse. He doesn't even hear his wife crying. She's right in front of him. He's totally blind and oblivious to the pain. And next thing you know, it, boom, it's over. She's gone. And he's just wondering, devastated, asking himself what went wrong.
I know that you loved me first when I was at my worst. You saw right through, no one could see. You saw who I could be. What went wrong? How can I move along? What went wrong? How can I ever sing my song? What went wrong? How can I sing my song? What went wrong? How can I carry on? What went wrong? How can I ever sing my
You're listening to a special broadcast album release for Radio Drive's new album, In the Light, available at iTunes and Amazon.
So, having listened to that 8th track being so heavy and intense, I couldn't leave it on that note. I couldn't leave it, in such a heavy, intense song to wrap up the album. So, the last song I chose deliberately to be one of my favorites. It's a cover song by a band called The Church, Under the Milky Way. It's just been one of my favorites for years. I played it different bands that I've been in. I used to do solo acoustic stuff at clubs in Minneapolis and New York, and this is one that I would always play. Just something about that song. I just love it. But what I would do differently with the band is we would go off on a tangent at the end, just big, long guitar solo. It's just something I love to do. And my daughter, it's her favorite part of my songs, my guitar solos. So I said, okay, for you, I'm going to have this big, long solo.
Your guitar riff there, as the song fades out, obviously if it's the cover tune, it's going to be that way as it is anyways, but it was
true.
Well played.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
Gilmore guitar riffs here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love David Gilmour, Jimmy Page, just the skill that those guys have. Amazing.
But I have noticed that in your music, though, with the guitar, when you kind of go off.
Oh, yeah. I love doing that.
Let's just say go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I have noticed, Kevin, that, aside from whether this is a cover song or anything, I have noticed that, that special quality that you put into your music.
Well, thank you.
And that has shown in the songs that I've played on my podcast before as one of the things that people will comment on or notice. So
thank you. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Candice.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the place gets kind of empty. Sound of the breath fades with the light. I think about loveless fascination under the Milky Way tonight. Lower the curtain down on Memphis. Lower the curtain down, alright. I got no time for private consultation under the Milky Way tonight. Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might have known what you would find. And it's something quite peculiar. Something shimmering and white leads you here, despite your destination, under the Milky Way tonight. Wish I knew what you were
listening to the virtual album release party for Radio Drive, featuring Kevin Gullickson, hosted by Candice Marshall on the NetRadio Broadcast Network.
Not only are you very attentive to your community and global community in terms of charities and that sort of thing, but you give that gift of music. That, to me, that's the cat's meow.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say that. Thank you so much, Candice.
You're welcome. Kevin, do you have any closing statements about the album that you'd like to say, you'd like to mention? I know in the beginning you had said a hats off to myself and Christoph, and I just was wondering if there's anyone else you want to give a special thanks or anything to for the album.
Absolutely. So many people to thank. Certainly my wife, who's been my biggest fan, my biggest supporter over all the years. My family, who also been such an amazing support in allowing me to follow my dreams. So many people over the years who have been playing my music on their stations, been writing and sharing reviews and articles and blogs and web signs, and certainly the fans, everybody that we've made connections through the music. Thank you so much. And certainly God. I've got to thank God, who has been faithful over all the years and never given up on me. And as you had mentioned, thank you, Christoph, Marcy, and the staff at NetRadio Broadcast Network. And Candice, thank you so much for being such an amazing host. I always love talking with you. Thank you.
Well, you're certainly welcome from this girl here in Canada. Like I said, you're in rotation. You're with the group.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you.
So, Kevin, where can people find you on social media?
Starting with my website, radiodrive.net. Instagram, radio_drive. Facebook is simply Radio Drive. Twitter, Radio Drive Music.
It was a great time talking to you today about all of this, and I'm excited to see what the feedback you get from this interview. Hopefully, we see a lot of fans. I encourage you to interact with Kevin on socials, and I know that, Kevin, you have been active on Twitter as well, on all your platforms, really. Yeah. But I do see that, as soon as I put out a podcast show, there's Kevin. You're there. You're on it.
Oh, yeah. I always appreciate you tweeting and retweeting. Thank you.
You do work all of your own social media, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's me out there tweeting and making those posts.
That it's authentically you that's responding. Fans wonder, are we talking to the real person, or is this just somebody working his social media?
No, it's me.
I think that when musicians make that special connection with their fans, it's that much more special. So that's one of the reasons why I really want to encourage everyone who's listening to this interview. Please do go check out all of Kevin's socials. He's very active on them and, likes to engage. So, you'll network, you'll probably, that will segue into other musicians, because Kevin's very connected in the music industry with some pretty prominent musicians. So you'll definitely want to get your hands on this album, put it in your ears, and just hit play.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
All right, Kevin. Well, thank you very much. This has been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, absolutely. It's been my pleasure, Candice. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's taken the time to listen and join us today.
I wish you all the success. Talk to you soon, my friend.
You've been listening to a special broadcast for Radio Drive album release featuring Kevin Gullickson with their new release, In the Light, hosted by celebrity journalist and podcast host Candice Marshall on the NetRadio Broadcast Network.